T, what have been your impressions of the overall talent level that you inherited when you look at this offense?
Well, so let's start with the wide receiver group. Really impressed. Inheriting a group of four seniors who's played a lot of football. First thing I look for is toughness and the will to win. And it starts with 15. You know, he's been a solid force for a lot of years, and he's the guy at practice that gets guys going. We need a play to be made. He steps up, makes the play. Callaway's been playing tough, a little banged up. And the one thing you'd like to see through leadership is guys who can play through pain and play through a little bit of adversity. And Marquez has been doing a good job of doing that. And so the other one, that's the guys that have been doing a good job too, is Josh. Has been doing a really good job. A couple touchdowns in the last two scrimmages. Been very consistent mentally, physically. But as a unit, I like where we are. We've grown a lot throughout the spring. Quarterback-wise, JG, he's doing a great job. Really impressed by his arm talent. Really impressed by him mentally being able to handle a few offenses over the last few years. And then now we're getting a very complex offense with a lot of operating at the line of scrimmage, checks and things of that nature. But that's what quarterbacks do at the University of Tennessee. So really impressed by him.
No, at least one receiver during spring practice has said he was hoping you'd bring your championship ring and show it to them at some point. Have you done that, and how often do you kind of bring up what you've done in the past and that type of thing?
No, I haven't done it yet. At some point, we'll get there. But I've been moving a lot and all that, so I'm trying to get settled into the house. But we'll get there. For me, you know, that's a very special symbol of pride, of hard work, of determination, of all of the things coming together as a team, and I'll find the right time to do that. But really looking forward to that moment. Hopefully it's training camp, maybe some point during the season, but that's kind of one of those feel things. And once this group gels together, you know, we'll get to things like that. Mm-hmm.
T, was there a moment after you made the homecoming, or it kind of sunk in that you're back?
Oh, yeah. It hits me at different times. Really just walking around the building and like sitting in my office as a coach here. You know, as a player, you kind of come upstairs, you check in on your coaches, and you go about your business. And over the years, I've come back for games, and really everything was happening over at the stadium. It had been a long time since I've been, you know, in this building, seeing everything. And when it finally kind of set in, it was, you know, coming in early in the morning, being here late night, you know, recruiting for the school that you played at, and had so many great memories at this place. And it kind of hits me at different times when I'm around the building or I'm on the phone with recruits and I'm really selling the place that I played at. It's not just a job for me. It means more to me, being that I've done it here at this place and come back to have the opportunity to help get it back to what I know it as. And it's been a different feeling for me because I've been a lot of places that I liked when I was there coaching, but nothing's like coming back home.
T, what have been your impressions of Ramel Keaton so far in the spring?
Really good. I've only been a part of two other wide receivers in my coaching career who were mid-year graduates, and both of them came in and were injured, and you didn't see much of them. The first thing that you're concerned about is the physical conditioning of the young man coming out of high school and jumping right into a college way of practicing, lifting weights, the classroom regimen, the weight room regimen, the meeting schedule. It could be a lot for a young man to adjust to. Ramel, it's been smooth. Challenging him every day to play fast. Sometimes young men come out of high school and they were the fastest guy on the field. But then when you get to college, the juniors and the seniors and the guys with more experience move a lot quicker than you are, and you're the slow guy. And so really proud of what he's learned and what he's accomplished. First scrimmage, you could tell, had a little nervousness about him. Dropped a couple balls and then came back in the second scrimmage and made every play that came his way and only had 2 mental assignment errors the whole scrimmage. So that says a lot about his mindset, his determination. he and Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer's really taking them on as like a big brother. You see them in here doing extra work, catching balls on their own, watching film on their own. Ramel is always stopping by, asking for ways to get better and how am I doing. He's an eager young man, and that's what you like to have as a freshman receiver. Yep. Yep.
T, with Josh in particular, with Palmer, when you learned maybe how little football he played before he came to Tennessee, did that change him as a prospect to you when you kind of saw what you'd already seen and then thought like, hey, this guy still has got a ways to grow?
Yeah, Josh was the only one who I recruited at my last stop. I was down in Miami recruiting, and I had a buddy that was the receiver coach at St. Thomas, and he said, I don't know what this kid can do. He's from Canada, so on and so forth. And I watched him run and offered him a scholarship at USC. And I think at the time he was going to Syracuse, and it was closer to where he had come from, so I left him alone a little bit and then looked up and he signed with Tennessee. So I was actually happy that he signed with Tennessee, even though I was somewhere else, because I thought he was a talent. But the only concern was at that time was how much football he played. And so, he reminds me of Nelson Aguilar, who, although Nelson had played a lot of football coming into college from high school, he had played running back and not a lot of wide receiver. So when Nelson moved to wide receiver, he hung on every detail that, I coached on, and whether it was depths, whether it was releases, the way to catch the ball, reading conversions and coverage. Nelson kind of hung on every word that I said, and I can see Josh in the meetings mentally processing that and as I'm talking. It really reminds me of Nelson, and he has really improved this spring. I'm really impressed with where we started 13 practices ago and then where we are right now. Really excited about a summer with him, knowing what the capabilities are and what the potential can be for a young man like him. He has the size, the speed, the hands, the route running, the releases. He has the ability to be a big-time player in the future.
Hey, T, back when you were a student here, this is not football related, so forgive me for that, but there was a women's basketball player by the name of Kelly Jolly.
Yes.
And she was obviously, I don't know if you heard, but she was named the head coach of the Lady Vols today officially.
Awesome.
So I guess twofold. One, do you remember watching her play here? And two, what's it like to see her back here as well as yourself?
Of course, 3-time national champion. How can you forget that? So congratulations to her and her family. She's been successful in her previous stops. Happy to get back some Tennessee blood. Holly was, and she did a great job for us as a university and for that women's basketball program. But it was exciting to see someone from the family and someone who was around during the time that we were in school. We were undefeated, they were undefeated. It was pretty cool to see that in parallel. We were complaining about how hard Phillip was on us. They were complaining about Pat, rest in peace. And so really excited for her and looking forward to welcoming her back.
T, coming in, I think you've got a group of 4 seniors, maybe 2 or 3 juniors. Do you like having a group that's maybe a little bit more? Some of these guys are more finished products. I'm sure you've had some groups that were a lot younger at USC. Do you like that? Is there a different challenge in coming in and taking over a group that's got as much experience, as many veteran players as this receiving corps does?
Right. The thing that you want most is the experience that they have. All right. There's no substitute for experience. A guy just knowing what it's like to play against Georgia and Florida and be on the road at Alabama. There's no way that I can explain that to Ramel. Right. But the 4 seniors in the room, they understand what that's like. The only thing that's a negative when you inherit guys who are veterans is you got to break some of the old habits, the ways that some of the other coaches may have asked you to do things in the past. And, some of these guys have had 3 different guys telling them that to do something a little different. So the first thing you have to do is build trust. And when I first got the job here, it was just a lot of talking to them on the phone, bringing them by the office, just sitting down, getting to know them, having them to get the opportunity to know me. Some of them may have seen the pictures on the wall and all that stuff, but had never had a relationship or had the opportunity for them to get to know me. And that's where coaching begins. Before I can ask a young man to go out and give me 100% effort, he needs to know that I care about him, that I know who he is, and that I want him to get better. And so that's what I wanted to establish coming into spring ball, because I knew once we got on the field, I'm kind of a different person when we get on the field. And so but they know I care about them, and they know that everything I ask them to do is to get them better and to get our offense better, ultimately getting our team better. So the positive is they are experienced. The negative, if there is one, is some of the old habits had to be broken, and to get them to do the things that we would like for them to do, the way that we would like them to do it.
We'll go with Steve, David, and then finish with Jesse.
You had a successful stint at USC before coming here, but I imagine it didn't end quite the way you wanted to. The way the last year went for you, how much incentive does that give to you coming into a new place, coming into this season?
Yeah, it was kind of the perfect storm last year, if you will. Just young team had lost, your top offensive players at every position, whether it was wide receiver, losing your quarterback, your top tight end, and it was what it was. We didn't perform the way that you need to perform at a place like that, and so you get canned. But every coach in this business, at some point, you're gonna get fired. And for me, it was a lesson for me to learn about planning for your future and doing the best that you can do at the job that you're currently at. You can't take a job worried about losing your job, right? And you can't think about the last job when you take the next job. And it was my first opportunity going through that, and it was positive, to leave a place that was really good. I have no bad words to say about where I came from, but then you get blessed up and come to Tennessee, and so it was a blessing for me.
What have been your impressions of D'Angelo Gibbs, and do you plan on campaigning to get him back?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to campaign because first 9 practices, I think he was with us, 9 or 10. I thought the young man displayed speed. He has good hands, has big hands, strong hands, athletic ability. He could stretch the field, made some big catches at times, was physical, blocking. So there was a good skill set there for an offensive player. But at the end of the day, we have to do what's best for our overall football team. And if there's help that needs to be helped in the secondary, they pulled him over to the secondary, and he went and made an interception in scrimmage with one hand. So, who knows? But I'm going to always fight for the receiver room and try to get the best players in there. And if he stays on defense, we'll go out and recruit him and try to fill the room, fill that void in the recruiting.
I know this is a couple months ago, so you might have to dig into your memory, but your name is, synonymous with so much success around here. So what was it like that very first day after you had accepted the job, when you did walk into the building, whether it's, going to the first coaches meeting or even meeting your players? What was that first day like? Do you have any kind of anecdotes and kind of take us back because one would imagine it's probably a pretty surreal experience.
It was surreal. There was nervousness there just because it's the first time coming back in this role. You got to remember the last time I lived here and spent every day here, I was 21 years old. And now you return with 4 kids and a wife and a dog. You're a totally different person. But to see Angela and Kim and Max Fraze, Hawk, Condrich, people who were here when I was a young man and helped me grow to be the man that I am today, were still around giving me hugs and high fives. And that gave me a sense of being back at home again. And then embracing the new. It is a better place than it was when we left it. You just look around and you can tell. But the buildings are nice and things of that nature. It's great having Coach Fulmer back as well. It really hit me. We were in an academic meeting. I'm kind of paying attention to them talk, and I look to my left, and Coach is sitting right there. It's kind of, all right, it's a little different than being a player. But it was surreal. It took me a couple weeks to actually get used to being back here as a coach in a different role.